Shabbat Shalom. Hope that everybody is doing well and getting themselves dug out from all the snow. Any of you who know me know that I absolutely love the snow, so I've been enjoying it this week, even though I did get my car stuck in the snow on Wednesday morning. This week's Torah portion, of course, is Parashat Vayishlach. This is the story of the reunion of Jacob and Esav after 20 years having been apart. It is followed by a very unusual story, which is sort of stuck into the middle of the narrative before we get into a genealogy at the end of the Torah portion, which is the story of the rape of Dinah. This story is unusual, first of all, because of the content, but it's also a very difficult passage for us to read, given our 21st century sensibilities. The story is one that is addressed by the rabbis in a bunch of commentaries in ways that I would say at the best are unsatisfying and at the worst are somewhat offensive to our sensibilities today. There are many midrashim that try to explain what exactly it was that caused the rape to happen, and they point out the fact that Dinah went out, and what's a single woman doing going out, right? Again, this is putting blame on the victim, and it's like they tell women today, make sure you keep your hand over your glass when you're in a bar, or make sure that you do this, or all these warnings for women, and yet so little is said to men about their behavior, which is really where the ultimate responsibility lies. It's not for a woman to protect herself; it's the responsibility of a man not to do something inappropriate or violent. And this is completely missing from the narrative and completely missing from any of the traditional commentaries. What's also bothersome about this is that really Dinah is an object rather than a subject. She doesn't really control her fate. In the story, everything happens to her, and she has very little say in what goes on. Just like the story of the exile of Hagar and Ishmael from Sarah's house, we sometimes have to look at these texts and say to ourselves, you know what, these were written a long time ago. They represented a different kind of sensibility, but certainly it isn't something that we look upon and say to ourselves, this is great, this is awesome, I love this section of the Torah, but rather recognize it as something difficult with which we have to deal. This week at Beth El, the Heights Synagogue, we mark the yahrzeit of Sanford Gelfand, William Grossman, Sylvia Della Stream, Bracha Tenenbaum, Reverend Henry Einhorn, Ronald J. Mayeroff, Shirley Newman, Sadie Magden, and Sarah Cohen. Wishing you all Shabbat Shalom.